on, folks, get in here. Welcome into our ESPN FC studios. Welcome into two lads that are moving a bit better than Neymar today. Nedum Onuoha, Steve McManaman. My name is Kevin Egan. France, they are celebrating in style, and rightly so. They're one victory away now from a third straight World Cup final. This, the scene yesterday in Paris. A victory over Morocco sees Les Bleus book their semi-final place. And we've got a fella here joining us very shortly indeed that'll have a big smile on his face. This is the cover of L'Equipe saying they had a ball, and they certainly did indeed. Dembele and Mbappe with the goals, and that has Julien Laurens a very happy man indeed. I don't know Jules very well, so I'm going to go out of my way to say a massive congratulations to you, Jules.
Oh, don't say that to him.
They told me not to do this.
Don't say that. He's had enough for PSG. Now he's got France. Look at that smile on his face. Look.
You enjoy yourself, Jules. You must be a happy man today.
Kevin, I love you so much. You're my best friend. Yesterday was great. More than the other two with you in the studio, unfortunately. I'm great there in Boston, and we can talk about the game plan from Morocco, the absence of Saibari, of course. I think their head coach, Mohamed Wabi, got it wrong in what he wanted to do, but the French were so dominant from start to finish. They could easily have scored four or five goals in that game, and I just love everything that they did, whether they were playing against a slightly deeper block or against a team that gave them a bit more space. They always had an answer. I think they were very strong in every compartment of the game, and they're just going from strength to strength. And when you think, okay, maybe this is a bigger test, then they just brush it aside and continue their great journey. So I don't know who will stop us, but they will have to be very strong, like I always say.
Jules, one thing that was very evident yesterday, Craig Burley brought it up on ESPN FC last night, is the work rate, the infectious enthusiasm from every single French player. And we're talking superstars leading the line that are putting in an absolute shift for this team right now.
Yeah, you're right, and I think that there's a great quiz question here on which of those French players is the one that works the hardest and runs the most and has the highest sprint, high intensity and sprints, and that's Michael Olise. So your number 10 is the guy that actually runs the most in your whole team through those whole games, and I think he's the prime example of this kind of team spirit where they all play for each other, all fight for each other. And that has not always been the case with the French national teams, even under Deschamps, but even more before Deschamps arrived with the national team. And I think this is what also, I think there's a lot to like about this team. Of course, going forward, that front four is pretty incredible. But I think the team spirit and the mindset of those boys behind Mbappe as a leader, as a captain, and what Deschamps has built with his generation, and it's a very talented generation, but talent, as we all know, is not everything and doesn't guarantee you wins either. I think is really impressive.
I said to Nedum right before the show, I said, France, here they are in a World Cup semi-final. It doesn't feel like they've been tested yet. You're not having any of that.
No, I'm not having it at all, because when you say this, should they have been tested all across the way? Like, this is a team that is ranked, one of the highest, or if not second highest in the whole world. And the way that they play means that whoever they play against, they will be the favourite for. I think teams have played to their potential to a certain extent, but still not find a way to beat them. Like, we talk about Paraguay the round before. I think the Morocco side yesterday, obviously with injuries affecting the way that they would want to play, they were still very much underdogs in this game themselves. And you look through the group stages, like, were they not in that group of death as such? They were in there with Norway, they were in there with Senegal, I believe it was. So it wasn't exactly the easiest path for them to get through, and they found ways to do it. I think what I liked about them is for all the attack and stuff that they have, Jules made the point, everyone's made the point, the work rate is incredible. Even the penalty that was won yesterday by Mbappe, it starts because Desiree Doué takes the ball from Achraf Hakimi in his defensive third, then a moment later, straight up the field. I think they've been very, very impressive, and you can say they've not been tested, but I think they've made it so they've looked so far ahead of everybody else because they've stuck to the plan and they've been excellent.
Yeah, we're waiting for them to be tested, aren't we? And it might come around that they're not tested because they are that good.
So you disagree with Nedum here?
No, I don't disagree with Nedum. I think the street's ahead of everybody, so they're making any performance look quite easy. And that is all credit to them. I think they're getting tested every single game, but they find a way. Paraguay are playing like this. What we'll do is be patient. We'll do this. Morocco have started like this. We'll break them down by doing something different. And that's what they have. I love the fact that Mbappe went off yesterday. And Zaire Emery came on and was great. And then Barcola came on for Doué, and he was great. And then even putting Mateta on, a 6'4", proper, different number 9, gives them a different option if they need to break a game down. I just think they're streets ahead of everybody else. And we said yesterday, didn't we, on the show, you couldn't see Morocco laying a glove on them yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
And it came through in the end, which was sad to see because it was very one-sided.
I think from your perspective, you saying they've not been tested, is it fair to say that the defenders have done well this World Cup?
100%.
So if that's the case, then they have been tested.
Yeah.
But Morocco's first shot on goal was near stoppage time yesterday.
The way that France started that game yesterday, there are very few teams that would not have suffered the same way that Morocco did. Because I think to start the game, we wondered before the game, are Morocco going to be on the front foot and try and sort of press France and so on? And they did try and do that. Very quickly, France broke the press and they're full speed. So they retreated a little bit. France are moving the ball around and then they're full speed. So ultimately, from when it gets like that, like it's very hard to get into a rhythm because then I think for Morocco, there were times where they had possession because they ended up having more possession than France. But they were having it in the areas which they were sort of safer from because they knew that if they turned the ball over too high and too quickly, they wouldn't be able to defend.
Yeah. Jules, you mentioned Morocco got it wrong yesterday. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, we knew that Saibari not being there was a massive blow, and he's arguably their best player with Hakimi, certainly the best player in this World Cup. But to not replace him with the backup number 9 in Haimi that you've got on the bench, I thought was a bit weird, because that meant Talbi or Unahi were you number 9s, but they're not number 9s. Obviously, one is a winger, one is in the 10, so it's a forced number 9. You had no output up front to get that ball, and every time Morocco had the ball, they were not really sure what to do. I mean, in the first half, they had one touch in the French box, for example, and I think that was the problem. The plan was always to try to hold on for an hour, and after an hour, bring on Amrabat and Haimi to have a proper number 9 and maybe give it a go. By then, it was too late. They were already a goal down, and then Dembele scored straight after to make it 2-0, and then game was over. So I think Wabi, who's a young head coach for an A team, he won the Under-20 World Cup 5 months ago, but with the A team, this is new for him. So he will learn from it. And again, Saibari not being there was a blow for them, but I thought he got it wrong.
I mean, it's you can say he got it wrong, but you can say the squad's not good enough as well, can't you? I mean, if Mbappe's out, that's a big loss. But France will be able to cope with that. If Doué's out, they'll be able to cope with it. Unfortunately for Morocco, with Saibari being out and him not putting the number 9 on because he wanted to shore it up a little bit, it's just Morocco rely on 14 players. France rely on 23, 24. You've got Kanate on the bench. You've got Tchouameni on the bench, etc., etc. World-class stars that would walk into any other team, yet they cannot get on the pitch for France because they are that dominant. And if everybody's fit, come the semi-final, he'll roll out that 11 again, and they will rock on again.
Can you imagine what training is like right now? Even guys like Doué and Barcola.
That would be my only question, and I don't know whether Jules is still there or whether he can listen to me. But he did mention about the unity in the squad, and that would be my only concern. There are some massive, big hitters on the bench, not getting 1 minute on the pitch, and it's keeping that unity together.
You've been there with Real Madrid. You've been there before.
Yeah, and keeping everybody happy.
For a tournament like this, though, because Real Madrid, you can go home. When it comes down to these international breaks, you are with this group of players for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
When you're winning, does that solve everything?
Well, if you're not playing if you don't play 1 minute and you win the World Cup, there must be something inside you which suggests that, well, actually, I didn't win the World Cup.
Yeah.
Even though you're part of the squad, I get it. But you want to play 1 minute at least and get on the pitch and to keep everybody happy. I think that's the hardest part in this for Deschamps.
For me, while the team's winning, everything essentially is fine. You can't really make a case. Like if you're one of those players that hasn't played a single minute, like these guys at the international level, they all play week in, week out for their club sides. And now you're like, no, just maybe there'll be a scenario, but there's not really. But I think if I can just go back to, say, Morocco, and I don't know if Jules would agree with this himself, when Morocco good this tournament, because I've heard that spell, the 20 minutes in the opening game against Brazil, then Brazil were the better side. There was the game against Scotland where Scotland disappointed me because it felt like the game was there for them to get more from it. Then it's the Haiti game, which you'd expect Morocco to win. You go into the knockout rounds and they go through on penalties, I believe, against the Netherlands. Yeah. And they won and they beat Canada. And Jesse Marsh said that Canada were the better side. And you can make a case for the first half that they were. I think it ended up that Morocco were more efficient, but they also had the better team than Canada. So when were they really as good as we saw 4 years ago? Or is this more a case of who they are in this tournament? And as soon as they met someone that was a bit stronger, they kind of got what they did.
They certainly are. Back to that depth, Jules. I want to get your thoughts on behind the scenes with the French national team and how Deschamps is managing all these big-time personalities.
I mean, he's the master of it, really. We've never really had any issues in the 14 years that he's been in charge with things like that. I mean, the boys are right, though. It could be a problem. It's been before, trust me, with the French team. Remember 2010 and even before and after that, too. But I think there's one thing that is very important here. This is Deschamps' last tournament. So it could have all ended yesterday. If they had lost to Morocco, it could all end on Tuesday if they lose in that semi-final, or it can go a few more days to the final on the 19th and then see what happens. And I think the players have this kind of a pact between them to not just try to win this for him, for his the last dance really of Deschamps with the national team, but also to make his life as easy as possible. So the only one we saw was Ryan Cherki. If you remember, he came on really late, I think against Sweden maybe, or against Norway, and was not too happy. And there was a bit of Deschamps came to see him and he kind of ignored him a little bit. They had a quite a nice chat in private together. And Ryan, who wants to play a bit more, it's normal. Yesterday doesn't come on at all, for example. And I think Deschamps was really good to say, listen, I need you. At some point, I will need you in this tournament. I need you to stay here, to stay focused, to have that unity. It's so important. Deschamps knows he's won it as a player, he's won it as a coach. In 2018, they were maybe not the best team, but they were the team with the most solidarity and unity within their camp. And again, he knows how important that is to go all the way.
Jules, have they announced who's going to get the job yet? I mean, of course, Zizou's widely, regarded as the next successor, but have they announced it yet?
Not officially, Maka, but they've told us that it was going to be Zidane. He's preparing his staff.
Yeah. And what will he be like with the players?
Fabian Barthez.
Will he be fine with the players? He's normally great, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll be great. I think he'll be one of the big shoes to fill, obviously, for him to come after. For example, it's not one for now, but the Bouhaddi story is quite interesting, because I'm convinced that if Deschamps had been staying after this World Cup, Bouhaddi would play for France right now and not for Morocco. So there's a few things that Deschamps has done, knowing that he would not be here next month. And Zidane will have to take over. He'll be great with the players in that relationship and the man management skill that we know he's so good at. And then I expect the team to be quite similar in terms of personnel to what we're seeing now. Probably a 4-2-3-1 as well, with Olise, with Mbappe, with Dembele, with Doué Barcola, all of that, but maybe even more attacking than what we're seeing now.
How do you think?
I mean, that's the frightening thing.
You know the man well.
Oh no, he'll be fine, as Jules rightly said. As a man manager, as he'll get on with the players will respect him incredibly because of the footballer he was. So that's not an issue. I mean, the scary thing for everybody else is that in 4 years' time, all these players will be back. There's not many who will be missing. Maybe Hernandez or someone like that, but most of them will be here in 4 years' time, in 2 years' time in the Euros for me and Nedum, of course. And that's the scary thing. The Doués, the Barcolas, the youngsters, they'll have more experience, they'll improve, they'll be better. Killian will be going for more records to break. Elise will be older and more experienced. It's going to be incredible.
Give some players to Andorra or something.
I was going to say, it's frightening, isn't it?